in their lives daily for our students, Father God. We thank you for them. I pray that you give us wisdom and understanding as we make the decisions, and that your love shine through us, Father. We love you and pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Mrs. Carter, have you checked? Are you good at taking roll?
Judge Ray, you got the roll.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry.
She was getting help. She
I'm
was,
so sorry. Yes, I have the vote. Sorry.
Okay, it's not, this is the time that we have for public comments, and you're limited to 5 minutes, and you're welcome to share your comments with us, but we will not take any questions or be able to comment on anything that you have for us. So first up, we have Tyler Limewater. Oh, Weaver.
That's all right, happens all the time.
there you go for the,
Oh, there we go. I thought that was for me.
no, that,
See what we're gonna do here, we're gonna move this just a little bit. My name is Tyler Limeweaver, can everybody hear me? I may not need this at all, but anyways. My name is Tyler Limeweaver, I'm the Public Relations Director for Abilene Freedom League. And we're here today because our Texas Senate passed Senate Bill 797 back in May of 2021. And for those of you that don't know what that is it's now law requiring public schools to host an In God We Trust sign, granted somebody from the public donated to them. And if people don't know already, Clyde ISD, Merkel ISD, Jim Ned already had these signs at the time we looked into it. And so when we did look into it, though, we were surprised to find that AISD and Wiley ISD, nobody had donated the signs yet. But it was always going to be a matter of time until this happened. So Abilene Freedom League is honored to be the ones that started a fundraiser back in last year in October. Over the span of 2 weeks, we did a fundraiser, and it didn't take long for the community to deliver above and beyond. We stand before you here today with enough signs to cover all of Wiley ISD. Last week, we just covered all of AISD. And we had funds left over to the tune of $1,077 that went to the Abilene Homeless Student Services Program as well. So the community definitely came in clutch there. There are some people that say that what the Texas Senate did may have been a violation of church and state. But Abilene Freedom League, we are a constitutional organization, so we wanted to look into that. Are we in the wrong for doing this? And the two questions you got to ask yourself did that law, is it forcing anybody to pursue a certain religion, to support a certain religion? No, it's not. The other question is it preventing anybody from practicing a certain religion as well? It's not either. It's very constitutionally sound. And furthermore, you got to realize what the Texas bill is doing is it's not using taxpayer money to fund this. It's allowing a vessel for the community like Abilene, like Wiley, to do this themselves. That's exactly what happened. The community made this happen, not the Texas law. They just made it possible. And so we want to make sure that when everybody walks down the hallways, staff, faculty, students, that they realize that not only can this be interpreted as a religious, pride in your religion as a Christian community, but at the same time, this is our national motto, have some pride in your nation. Walk down the hall and you see this sign. So we're happy to deliver this to you guys, and thank y'all for having us here today.
thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
We got the rest of the signs back there too.
Perfect, thanks. If you want to just make sure, okay, he's got them. Very good.
Next up, Chance Ferguson.
I'm going to go ahead and have my son come up with me, because he's going to follow right behind me, if that's all right.
Okay.
Those of y'all who do not know me, my name is Chance Ferguson. I am the deputy in charge for the U.S. Marshals here in Abilene, Texas. The reason that I kind of lead in with that is I was also in the Marine Corps. So I have built a life pretty much around laws and rules. And I've kind of spent my life making sure people enforce them. But it's come to my attention through my son that through the student handbook that there are some rules that have been through the years passed on year after year about dress code and attire and things like that I don't personally agree with, and I think that they're antiquated. Visit them, and look at them and see what needs to be changed in today's modern day and age. So the first time that the incident happened, Caden kind of breaks out a little bit on his chin whenever he shaves. He gets acne real bad, so I was kind of letting it progress to where he could kind of grow his chin hair out a little bit and kind of avoid that. Having pimples in high school is hard enough without having to mess with them every day. First time he came to me, he said, "Dad, I got in trouble, went to the principal's office for not shaving." And my answer was, "Go shave your face." Plain and simple, it's the rule, go shave your face. Next time it happened, I said, "Son, what don't you understand? It is in the student handbook, shave your face." And I have two older boys that are 26 and 24, always made them clean cut, clean shaven, different day, different age. So this time when it happened, it was about 2 months ago, and he said, "Well, Dad," he said, "I don't agree with it." And I said, "Okay, how come?" He said, "Well, there's kids up there that are getting away with stuff that's in the student handbook." He sent me various pictures throughout his day of kids with dyed hair, green and orange and red and blue and different colors. Sent me pictures of kids with piercings in their face where they're not supposed to be. Sent me pictures, kids with tattoos visibly shown, girls with short, it goes on and on. To me, that's their parents' problem, not mine. My job is to make sure he looks clean and presentable. But when he told me that there is two, I want to be politically correct, when there's two male youths at the school who are openly pronounced homosexual, they go up and down the halls holding hands, kissing each other. But here's where it differentiates: wearing makeup. Okay? So when he got in trouble this last time and the principal called me and said, "He's in my office, he's going to have to go and shave." I said, "Well, what?" She said, "He's going to get detention and ISS." And I said, "Okay." I said, "So let's pretend that he comes home and he shaves his face." I said, "If he puts on eyeshadow and lipstick and paints his fingernails red, can he come back to school?" She said, "Absolutely. It's not against the dress code." So we've got an issue where we're letting young men dress like women and come to school. But we've got young men who look like young men who have a problem with the dress code. And to me, that's totally backwards. He has a job that he goes to every day. His employer has no problems with the way he looks. I have no problems with the way he looks, and I'm his parent. I just don't understand what is disruptive about his appearance that will keep him from being educated or an educator from educating class. That's all I have. Thank you.
My name is Katie Ferguson. Thank you all for hearing us today. I've had several conversations with Ms. Stewart, Ms. Mulligan, teachers and faculty at Wiley High School. I'm a senior this year. I have talked to Mr. Ritchie, along with several other administrators, along with Ms. Berry. Many of the teachers up there and half of the administration don't seem to have a problem with facial hair. I mean, we're in a new day and age where people are allowed to dye their hair, where guys are allowed to wear makeup, and I don't see why I don't see what's fair about how people can, be wearing makeup, painting their fingernails, dyeing their hair crazy colors. But I have to wake up in the morning about once a week, twice a week, and shave my face. While guys can wake up in the morning and decide, I want to change my appearance and look this certain way. If this is the way God intended me to be, I don't see why I need to change that to please the school system. I just think there needs to be a change of rules with this new day and age. And that is all for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was it.
Okay.
Do you have?
Yes,
a
so
presentation?
we also have, Miss Berry's got a special presentation tonight, so Miss Berry, if you would, last minute,
I called Mr. White instead of calling Audible for tonight.
Omaha.
Yeah, that's right. Because this just came in the mail, I opened it at 2 o'clock today, and I think these kids deserve to be celebrated, and what better stage than right here in front of the leaders of our school district. And so, Connor Brown and Aiden Curtiser, come on up. These two, y'all hear their names a lot. You'll hear their names later in my board report. But these two are two of 15,000 National Merit Scholarship finalists. strenuous process that, comes from the scores and then through the application, but there's 15,000 national finalists now. From that, 7,250 will become winners. And we have 2. And Mr. White was asking, if there are any others, because there will be a good press release and all that. And we just got the news today, so I don't know how many others, but typically we have none or 1, and we're excited to have 2 this year. And so we're really proud of Connor and Aiden. So congratulations, guys.
After Miss Berry told me about that, I went and looked it up. That's out of 1.5 million that take the test, that's 1%, the top 1% that get that.
Very cool. Okay, everybody. Mr. White, excuse me. Sorry, I want to get them. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Hold on, let the mamas get a picture.
Don't move. Thank you. Congratulations.
Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Berry.
Okay, we're going to move on to approving the minutes from our last meeting. Has everybody gotten a look over them? Are there any changes? Okay, we're going to approve them as is. And move on to the consent agenda.
Okay, Carol, you got the bills?
I do, and Catherine's going to step in and help me out tonight.
Catherine, it's kind of like with training wheels next to you, right there.
That's it.
It's good, it's by design, right?
That's right. That's right. Great stuff. Okay, so we'll start off on page 6. Of course, is our bills. There are a few items I wanted to point out as y'all look through them. Of course, we have that center gas bill. I know, everybody probably has heard things going on with that. That $36,000, that is those last 3 weeks that we had. So that's a combination of all of those.
And they were made, when we received the invoice, we made that payment, right?
In
So
January.
we-
Sorry, I have
yeah.
already paid.
Yeah,
Yes, it
we've
has
already
been
paid.
Yes.
So,
That was prior to everything.
right. And so that's still in the works. We've got insurance company, Mr. Besson has been working with the insurance company on that, and so we're working through that.
Okay. Let's see. The next one I was wanting to point out is over on page 11. We do have, in the East Intermediate, of course, they had the damage over the break. We got that bill in from A-Town for those repairs and restoration. So that is that $62,000 there.
Did we, is there any kind of preventative maintenance to not let this happen again?
Well, so that was an interesting deal, and we're not quite through with that yet either. I mean, that is a $50,000 deductible. And Mr. Besant, we've looked at different things. In our opinion, that's a vulnerable spot where that is. It's on the north wall. It is in an area that's not, even though we had heat going to the building, it didn't prevent it from freezing. So I don't know where we are exactly with that, but, definitely we're trying to make sure that we don't have a situation where those are not in I think one of our short-term solutions was pop the ceiling tile, right, Mr. Bacon? I think, is that right, Mr. Besant?
That's true.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue to investigate that.
Off the ceiling tile, like, to keep it warm? Is that what you're
So
saying?
that, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't explain that very
No,
well.
I understood, I was like.
Yes.
But do we know an estimate of when that road will be fixed? The front,
The-
West Intermediate.
yeah, front
Not yet,
driveway.
not yet.
It's still settling, so they're trying to get it to pack
Sorry,
and settle
yes,
so
I
that.
moved on to
The rain we've been blessed with, and I hope we get blessed with more rain, hasn't allowed us to pack it down yet.
I want it to settle before we can't really get like a maintainer or anything on there. Right under there, but try to get it packed down and settle, and we can come in and talk it.
The next bigger one, on page 12, we do have a bill or a payment to Howard Industries. And that description is those Chromebooks. I did want to note that that was 400 Chromebooks that were purchased with that. And there were also 20 ThinkPads for our robotics lab purchased. And so those benefited 5 of our campuses, those Chromebooks.
And so those are on a TIPS contract, which is similar to a buy board. It's a co-op purchasing. And Michael Dixon, who does the purchasing of those, he said, in the past, we've used a company called CDWG. And these were they were over $50 less per and a Chromebook, per Chromebook. So it was a pretty substantial save, almost $20,000 for the total.
I don't know the answer off the bat. Do we know how many Chromebooks we have in the district?
That person is not here. We've got Tony, maybe.
I'm not sure. I think we're probably around 1,000.
I would think more than that, but yeah, I can get that number for you. If you want to get that. Okay, she's already got it. She wrote it down.
Any other questions on those? Moving on to our supplemental bills. If you show Taylor Electric, it kind of looks like we paid that twice. It was kind of a timing issue. We paid the December bill initially, and then the second one here on our supplemental is our January bill. So.
Thank you, that's a good question.
We also had that with Atmos as well. There was 2 Atmos bills, so.
Yeah, it depends on when the board meeting falls, what we can get in.
Next up is our cash report. As you can see, our different balances. The main one, of course, is our total balance, cash balance, $22,145,733. And then, just to point out, our Lone Star investment pool, we are earning that 4.35%. Last month, we were at 4.26. So.
And this is our high balance of cash because the majority of the tax deposits have been made, so it's kind of a downhill from here to August in balances.
And tomorrow we'll be making a couple of big expenditures
About
for
$4 million
bond payments.
in bond payments come out tomorrow.
How much?
$4 million.
Next on our.
No, you're good.
Okay. Our revenue report. Of course, our tax revenue still coming in. We're still seeing some of that kind of hitting a little later. So we just, within the last week, we were still getting some of those. I did want to point out on the line, the miscellaneous sponsor fees, that kind of looks funky. There was a correction that was made that didn't get posted before we ran this report. Once we got that correction in and pulled that, it actually is $50,478 in that revenue account. 41,000 of that is our broadcast revenue. So it's a big chunk of that.
So let me comment about that real quick. That, we've never had that before. When we took over the broadcast of the ball games, things changed. And so that was a revenue that we wanted to be sure that we could have a good accounting of, and the expenditures of that too. And so Carol did some research, and all of that revenue will go into the general fund through that the 5749 account. And then we'll see the expenditures in the communications line, which
Right.
is 61. So, that made the most sense to us. We show the revenue, and then we're gonna expend it out of the communication line. So you're gonna see some expenditures that we never had before because we weren't running that broadcast, so. Anyway, and Andy Penny is taking on the lead on that to generate those funds, and he understands that our goal is to more than generate enough funds to run that whole thing. So, you know, then once we get that covered, that's a big hurdle to clear because we didn't really get on board until August. So Brad, did you have no, I thought you were about to ask a question. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. Then last is our expense report. Like Mr. Light was pointing out, we are coding that, the expenses for the broadcasting to the function 61, that code 61. It is a little higher. We did end up moving 75,000 out of that 61 code and moving it back up to 32, and that's our communities and schools contracted service. So that was 2 semesters worth. And so once we moved that, those percentages are actually more in line. Up in the function 32, we're at 62%, whereas last year we were at that 67%. So we're on track there as far as our spending. Now in 61, we're a little higher, of course. We have the new broadcasting, and I don't believe that was initially budgeted for since it was coming in so late. So there's a little variance with that there compared to prior year.
Any questions on that?
Good job, Captain.
Yep, good start. They always do that on the first one. They're nice to you.
Just wait,
The first
right?
rattle out of the box, yeah, just wait.
I'll make a motion when we pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor? We move on to conducting a public hearing.
Yes.
Academic performance.
Yes, ma'am. Our taper, each year, we're required to have a public hearing on the taper. Mr. Hagler has been gathering information to share with you, and this reflects a lot of the data that you've seen over the years. So I'll just let Mr. Hagler make a few comments about that, and then we can have a public hearing.
Few comments?
Few.
As Mr. Light said, we're required to have a public hearing each year to discuss the paper, Texas Academic Performance Report. I'm very fortunate because annually I get to stand before each of y'all and share the positive information on our student performance in the past years. The data that's in this report shows success and achievement of our students, and I always take the opportunity to share with the board, with the administration that appears as a team effort. And our students do a great job in the classroom. They're dedicated to their academics. We have great teachers in our district, and they provide quality instruction and support of our students. And then we have this group of administrators and other administrators in the district that provide leadership for both of those groups. So that team effort always creates achievement in our district. So I always want to make sure that I share that. My goal tonight is to give you a quick overview summary of the taper, of the 33-page taper. As you see in front of you, with a snapshot, so if everybody will find this is what we're going to be referring to for most of the evening. Also, if you'll turn to page 20 in your board book, that's going to be the same thing that's at the top of that snapshot. Share with y'all tonight.
20.
I get to share, I don't have to share, is our overall district rating, which once again, I'm proud to tell you, was an A rating. And that excites us all. We're very, very proud of that. In that same accountability summary, you're also going to see that we have a distinction designation in post-secondary readiness. That's the only designation that a district is eligible for. And we're required also to talk to you about our special education compliance status because of the great leadership of Mrs. Vaughn, her staff at Student Services, and our state department throughout the district. I'm proud to tell you that we did meet all federal and state requirements. So that's a good deal. Second thing I need to share with you in this report are House Bill goals, which come from House Bill 3. You have this sheet in front of you as well, that's your second cheat sheet. You don't have any information in your paper on that, it's just a requirement. I'm looking at the board, I think I only see 3 people that might have been at the East Junior High back in February of 2000, when we required by House Bill 3 to come up with goals for third grade reading and math in high school CCMR. And I think we came up with some good quality goals that day, some realistic goals, and spring break, and we shut down school for 10 weeks. Next year's virtual instruction for some students, not so much in our district as it's across the rest of the state, but regardless, we had no assessment that year. We had all these goals, but we had no assessments, no data. So fast forward to now, we actually have some new data. We have some new goals, because obviously the goals that we had pre-COVID probably weren't going to work anymore. So if you look at that sheet, you'll see that it says the first one is for the Literacy Board Outcome Goal 1. Percentage of third grade students that score at the MEETS level or above on STAR reading will increase from 60 to 63% by 2024. I really need to emphasize the word MEETS. I always try to review the board on performance that the state requires. We've got the approaches level. The state deems a student at the approach level. We know it as pass-fail, whether or not you passed or failed the STAR, the LC. But they say that's a student that can be successful at the next grade level with some intervention, which all of our principals have created. And then there's the MEETS grade level, where the state says that that student can be successful at the next grade level with maybe short-term targeted intervention. And of course, the masters are the top achieving students. There's no need for any intervention. So board goals deal only with the MEETS level, because the MEETS is where the state and obviously school districts as well is where we want all of our students to be, is at the MEETS grade level. So our goal was to be at 63% by 2024. We'll look at our scores on line 2022. That same score you'll find in your paper, well, we were at 68%, so we surpassed our original goal. So we're in good shape on the reading. So we felt that we needed to increase our goals. So we went back to what we did in February of 2020, and we just added 1% each year as a realistic goal for improvement in reading at the third grade level. Mathematics, goal number 2, the percentage of third grade students that score at the MEETS level or above on STAR Math will increase from 62 to 65%. We kept those goals the same, because that's exactly where we are. So if you look down at 2022, we're at 63%, and our goals continue 64 to 65, so we're still in line on the same goals there. Remember, this is 63% of your students who are at the MEETS grade level. College, career, military readiness, well, we were shooting at a moving target when we did that in 2020, because there was a lot of changes in CCMR, and there's fixing to be many, many more changes. But anyway, for this year's report, the thing you need to know about CCMR is it's a year lagging. So the report we're talking about now is 2021, not 2022. And we got 66%. That's our new baseline. So we're going to try to have a goal of 67, 68, 69% for the next. So that's our board goals that we're required to report to, and we'll do that through 2024. Okay, back to your cheat sheet. The next thing is if you'll turn to page 22 in your board report.
Those are on the right hand,
Yeah,
kind of the
I
top.
highlighted mine. On the first couple of pages, you can see it's kind of hidden within the percentages. The numbers are over on the right side. What you see on pages 22 through 33 are exactly what we're fixing to talk about with the bar graph and the blue, the light blue and the dark blue. I always want to take advantage of the opportunity to share with you that if you go across every bit of this report, each and every line, every grade, every test, 3rd through 8, see, we're above all the regional schools and the state averages. These administrators sitting here and myself all will tell you to agree with our clientele, we should always be above our region or state. But who's not going to take advantage of bragging on our student successes? So I think that's an accomplishment. That's happened each year that I report that we're. Once again, you see the approaches, the MEETS and masters, and I think y'all kind of got a grasp on that. So there's no new information on those pages. You've seen those scores. What they have added are the subgroups, and it shows how our different subgroups are doing by grade. So if you'll turn to page 32 on your board book. You'll see that in the bar graphs in the blue, that is the meets grade level for our students in all subjects, reading, math, science, and social studies. We're comparing 2021 to 2022. I do want to report that in this category on this snapshot, we did receive an A on accountability. We went from 65 to 69%, 21 to 22. That's 21% higher than the state. In reading, we went from 65 to 72. That's 19% higher than the state. Math, I keep bragging. We can't get complacent, and we know that there is room for improvement. Math is where we're a little bit, I won't say in trouble. We're just like the rest of the state. Obviously, there's gaps. I think we're all aware that there's been gaps that occurred because of the pandemic, because of COVID. We still maintain 64 to 64, and we're still 22% higher than the state. But here in a minute, you're going to see that we're actually lower than we were with our goals, and some of our kids were in 2019. Over to science, 69 to 7%, 23% above the state. And in social studies, we dropped slightly, but still higher than the 50% of the state by 22%. So the main thing I want to emphasize in the bar graph on STAR performance at the meets grade level is we received an A. Now the next bar graph is in green, and you can find out on the next page, page 33. This one's a little different because we're not talking about pass fail, we're not talking about meets. We're talking about individual students who showed 1 year's growth. So to show 1 year's growth, just to make sure you understand, if your approaches year one, your approaches the next year at the same score, that's 1 year's growth. Same thing, meets to meets. Now, what you hope is you go from approaches to meets or meets to masters. But you're seeing here that in both of our, this is just math and reading, you see that this goes from pre-COVID to present. We were 76% and 76%. But understand, a student says at master's level, and the next year they fall to meets level. Well, meets is where the state wants to be, and that's our goal, but they didn't show growth because they didn't show 1 year's growth. Or you can be at meets and drop to approaches. Once again, you passed your approaches, but you didn't meet 1 year's growth. So that's how they get that number. And as you can see, 76 to 76 from 2019 to 22 in both reading and math. Reading, as I told you earlier, at the third grade level, across the all grades, 72 to 81, we're still on track, doing pretty good. You see the drop, 79 to 72 in student growth in math. So that's the one place we need to make some changes. Holly Cooper and I have been brainstorming. We're going to come to the conclusion we're going to have to possibly find a different intervention for our math, and especially at the lower grade level. So that's where we are now. And the third, and we got an A in that category. You do need to know on here, but the state does not hold a school district accountable for both STAR performance and academic growth. It's either or. I always report it all, and I can guarantee you the reported news is going to show it, but you only get held accountable for one or the other. So I'm really glad to show that we got an A in both of these this time around. CCMR, as you can tell, this is also from 2019 to 2020. 2020 to 2021, we went from rounded off from 62% to 68%. We met our goal, as I showed you. Once again, third category here, we received an A rating. So we're A all across the board here. The information for CCMR is a little more confusing, so go to page 41 to 45 in your board book. Here if I need any help. I want to commend Reagan. Those scores, the reason that I think that we see go from 62-60 is because of what Reagan's done for that program. She did that as an assistant principal. She's still overseeing. I think she's given some of that responsibility to Laney Alcorn, correcting some other administrators. She's been very proactive. We're going to CTE meetings about once a week, twice a week, and I see some board members on that. Food's good, we're going in. But I think these two board members can tell you what's going on in CT, which is one part of CCMR, but things are really moving in the right direction at the high school. But we're already meeting our goals and already an A rating. Okay, college, career, military ready on page 41 of your board book. You see that we had 66% of our students that the state deemed as CCMR rating. You can say that 66%, or you can say 66 points that the students receive, and I'll see if I can explain that to you. I do think there's room for improvement in CCMR, and that's, and we're looking at it as well as math. But if you look down, the next column says college ready, you see that 52.6% of our students got their point or their percentage through being college ready. The ways to be college ready is you can go down 1, 2, 3, 4 more lines where it says TSI, criteria graduates in both subjects. TSI is the Texas Student Initiative, Success Initiative, I'm sorry. And there's an assessment that students can take. And if they get a certain score on both reading and math, they can get credit to get a point in CCMR. Other ways you can get it is through our AP courses. You might look at that and say, wait a second, that's 9.5% compared to the other schools in the state, and it's much less. But the reason that is we made a decision, it's going on 20 years now, that we emphasize over the AP route. We still offer it, we still have kids that do it, but much more of our kids go to dual credit route. You'll look down 2 more lines, you'll see that 41.4%. Oh, you don't see these numbers, but that's 118 kids under dual credit, 27 under AP, and 94 under the TSI. The next way you can get points in CCMR is career or military ready. And you can see that we got 26.3% of our students. Now these are the senior graduates, got it in career military. This page is tricky because it says approved industry-based certifications, IBCs, and you see the number on the next page. You see that the majority got it, 24.6 got the industry-based certifications, and then below that, this is the ways that you can get it.
Mr.
Now, if you do
Hager,
your math, you're fixing it, yes.
can I comment on that? This
Sure.
year is whenever there's at-home learning. And so if they're at home, they cannot sit for any of the tests, for any of the industry-based certificate tests. And so that's one that, and then
So
at the end,
improved.
the 2019-2020, they take them at the end of the year, and we didn't have school at the end of the year. And so that's why you see, I mean, for that, that's an easy, low-hanging fruit. You'll see a big change in that number.
And I didn't bring this up, but if you saw our scores pre-COVID in CCMR, way above these scores. But that's when all these things started occurring. When you shut down school, the last 10 weeks of school, you can't take exams, you can't take so these are more realistic scores now. Now, if you do your math, you're going to see that doesn't add up to 66%. That's what's confusing is a student can get more than 1 point. For example, a student can take a dual credit course and get a point, but they also can get an industry-based certification, and they can also enlist in the military. So there's 3 points, but they only get 1. And I mentioned military because I know Cameron Wiley's staring at me because there's nothing on here that's for military. And that's because, I'm going to read it. Due to the discrepancies between Department of Defense and our team's military enlistment, data is excluded from the calculation. So what it is because of confidentiality, Dodd was not giving us information when a kid enlisted. That's improved. Now we can get that information in the future, but it has to come from the graduate, which sounds great, but we don't know who. They graduated, they left, they moved out of town, and all of a sudden they're out in Washington on the West Coast, and they decide they're going to join the Army or the Air Force. Well, they're not going to call Reagan and tell her that. So tracking that's going to be very, very difficult. But that is the change. You can get points for military enlistment. It's just not an easy tracking.
So, not to go down a rabbit hole or anything, but I'm gonna ask a military question, I have to. But how does the state determine military readiness? Is the ASVAB involved in that at all?
No,
Is it?
used to, it was just if they could really just say, I'm interested in the military and get on a recruiter's list and they get that point. Well, then the pendulum swung the complete opposite way where we got no information and they gave us no credit. And so now it's exactly what he said. They can report back that they're in the military, and that's military readiness. They have to be enlisted. So really, there's no readiness, it's I'm in the military. And so that's why
We
there
don't create
are,
the rules.
that's why there are grant programs now to where they follow students. That's what, that Root Ed grant that we have right now, those two advisors are supposed to follow students, that's part of the grant, at least for a year, and stay in contact with them to help with that as well, but that's how they determine ready.
fly over the Super Bowl?
I feel like they're making it harder than it is, because I mean, when you join, you have to input, you know, that you graduated from a high school. And you have
Right.
to put all that into it too.
And you know, and we get those verifications, I mean, I get a couple a week that the counselors have to verify that they graduated, but they could have been graduates from 2012.
Right.
You know, and this, it lags a year for this data, because they can take IBCs throughout the summer as well. And up until September of their graduation year, they can get a CCMR point. Nobody's coming back to get their CCMR point, but they can.
Do we want to talk about future ideas of how to get more students? One of them is easy, the TSIA. I've been talking to Reagan, I've been talking to the counseling staff, that if any senior has not received a point, well, obviously, we will pay for them to take this assessment in hopes that they'll pass both the reading and math at the level to get a point. And the one that may not be so popular, but something we're looking at is, and this is, I'm not taking any credit, this is Reagan's idea. I don't know if she
No,
wants
it's a
to own it.
bullet.
I don't know if she wants to own it, but any senior that's getting an early out, and they don't have a point, we may not want to let them.
Yeah, that's a little premature,
Yeah,
Mr.
very
Mayor.
quick, but that's an option.
Let's not create
That's an
that.
option, that's an option.
Well,
We're
not even there yet. We're just,
We're just
yeah.
trying to figure out ways to get those points up.
Direct all emails.
That's just an option. So,
No, but there's real low hanging fruit. We're adding 2 more dual credit classes. And so, because dual credit is an easy checkbox, 3 hours of college credit, they get a CCMR point. And so we're adding 6 other hours that are options for students. And then Ms. Swanner, I went to Ms. Swanner last year and talked about the TSI because we weren't a testing site for it. And so Ms. Swanner did a really good job of making us a testing site at the end of last year. And she tested a few kids on Saturdays, but we already have it set for any senior. We have a training program, a 2-week training program they'll go through in 2 of their classes. And then they'll sit for the TSI, anybody that doesn't have a point at the end of April after STAR testing. And so there's ways to grab some points there. And then with all the improvements Laney's doing with adding IBCs, those are also
tell them how many we've added in the last 2 years.
industry-based certificates. Well, we've kind of had to streamline some. Laney's adding a lot this year with welding. There was one and then there wasn't one, and now we'll have one in welding. Eventually electrical tech will have one once they're at that senior level course. CVA, CNA. The state is sunsetting all Microsoft Office, and that's a doozy for us because we had a lot of kids get their point through Microsoft Office. We still have Adobe and Adobe and Illustrator. And then through our like culinary arts, food services, those upper level kids will sit for an exam. And that's the goal, is once we have all those programs in line, that senior year, they're taking those tests. And that's the other thing the state has said, is you can't take tests in level 1 anymore. And because states were just testing the masses in a level 1 course. And now they said it has to be a level 3 or level 4 course. So you're looking at juniors and seniors to get those points.
That's a summary, the bottom of this snapshot and the rest of the paper is basically just self-explanatory data and percentages regarding students and staff. Any questions?
How many of our students, percentage guesstimate, one of these IBCs or gain certification, these IBCs?
That's a good question. So we have so the state codes them as completers and learners. And because it all lags, the percentage is not accurate. Because right now we didn't have courses. So it's at about 70% because they have to graduate with an endorsement, and 3 of the 5 endorsements are CTE endorsements. And so the other 2 are arts, and then a multidisciplinary, which is basically like a general studies degree in college where they kind of hop around to all of them. So most of your kids, so I'd say about 70%, would, once we have all this streamlined, which we do now, they would sit for IBC.
Do we offer the ASVAB?
Wednesday.
Thank you, Mr. Hagler.
Great job, everybody, all the administrators, teachers, y'all are awesome.
And now,
It's a great report.
public hearing now.
Yes, is there anybody, we're gonna enter the public hearing part, is there anybody that has questions, concerns? Okay.
And let me just say, this is not exactly tailing off of that, but we have 2,192 Chromebooks. They were Johnny on the spot. That, I don't know who sent that to you, Tony, but Michael sent it. Okay, very good. You're welcome.
Okay, we are moving on to consider calling a school board election.
Yes, each year we are required to call a board election unless there's, well, we have to have an election, and we have place 1, 4, and 5 that are up for election. Election day is Saturday, May 6th. We have the last day to file is February 17th. Early voting will be April 24th through May 2nd. And again, the election day is May 6th. In this document, you see the information that we received from the Taylor County Elections Clerk, and that the next to last page shows the amount that we would, they're projecting that our cost for the election, it will be, right now, this year, it's made a big jump because of the change in law that they've got to have a paper ballot backup. So last year, it was $5,900, and there were 16 entities that were taking part in the election. This year, it's $35,582, and there's only 12 entities that are participating. So, what did you tell me? Taylor County
Right,
was
this year Taylor County's not having an election, as well as
AISD. They're not having
So
one.
this year it's city, and us are the majority of the, I believe cities like 67%, will be about 19% of the ones that are, may have an, this also could increase if some of those entities don't have an election. So, but it's a small it would be a small percentage, because we're paying the 19%, and the city of Abilene's paying.
Cities was a large bill.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's the information, and there you have the contract that we have with Taylor County as far as hosting that election for us, so. It is just the way of doing business now, it's just costs have gone up.
Approve the school board election listed above with contract Taylor County Elections Office to conduct joint election on Saturday, May 6, 2023. Second.
Did you get a
All in
second?
favor?
Good.
Hey, moving on to the calendar.
Yes, ma'am, we've had the calendar out for quite a while, and the information that I received from the administrators that it was well received this year, because it mirrors what we just went through. And I think their response was that the staff really liked it. And I have not heard anything but compliments. In a couple of years, it changes because of how the holidays fall. But right now, these 2 years are very similar. So we bring that calendar to you. Now, you notice, I will say that you have one in the packet, and we put another one at your seat. The reason is because I had a typo on the original one in the calendar keys at the bottom under the H, the orange looking calendar date there. That shows a 1/15 which is not, that's January 15th is not, it is a gray day, and I've got it listed in the wrong place down there. So we corrected it in this, the calendar itself up above is correct, but that key was off, so. We bring that to you for your approval.
I move we approve the 2023-2024 school calendar.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And same for approval for bank depository?
Bank depository. So, the bank depository, we're allowed to, when we do that for a first time, when we set it out for bid, once we have somebody win that, we're allowed to have 3 additional 2-year extensions. And we are we're asking you to extend it. This will be our 3rd extension. So in 2 years, we'll again go out to bids, and Catherine, you're gonna get to do that. But we put out a bid pack, we put all the information out to mainly the local banks. And so we would recommend, due to the nature of how difficult it is to change, that we continue with Prosperity and extend that for 2 years.
I'll make a motion, we, approve the depository contract with Prosperity Bank, September 1, 2023 through August 31st, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right. Now we're going, there it is.
Page 68.
Moving on to the Lone Star Investment Board.
Yep, and so this is similar in nature. It has to do with our finances, but we need to get Catherine Blackmeyer as an authorized representative for our Lone Star investment pool account. So currently Carol is that main contact, and I'm on that list, and we would ask that we would add Catherine to that list. That allows her to execute the request. I will say this, they are very stringent. We had this big bond payment going out tomorrow, and they not only got approval from Carol, but then they also called me and said, is this right? And they went through each item to be expended, so.
So it's a two-person approval process.
Two-person approval, so. So we'd like to designate Catherine as an authorized representative.
All right, I'll make a motion that we designate Catherine Blackmeyer as an authorized representative for our.
Second?
All in favor? All right, on to items of information.
Okay, principals, here we go. Rob is moving fast to the, and we do.
All right, guys, how are y'all doing? Hey, Wiley East Junior High, we're up a couple students from the last time I was here. We're at 528. We continue with accelerated instruction, House Bill 4545. Hey, I put that on there every time just because, you know, we kind of approached it a little differently. Instead of oh no, this is something we have to do. It's like, hey, this is something we get to do. And it's not just about tutoring kids in the subject that they fail. They are doing that. But it's also about, hey, making sure all their homework's done and making sure that their projects are finished. So the teachers are doing more with them than just the tutoring side of it. They're getting all of that they need, but they're also getting some extra stuff. And I think at the end, not only we're going to see improved test scores, but we're just going to see improved overall students from this. And so we're excited about that. STAR interim testing, we will end round 2 of that on Wednesday. We would have been finished already, but the ice days kind of put us behind a couple of days. You guys asked questions about Chromebooks earlier. We are able to do just one grade level at a time, but it's working. Our Wi-Fi is holding up. You know, we were all doing this at the beginning, and now it's just like, hey, we've done it so many times. It works, and we're thankful for that. And just everything about our Wi-Fi has gotten better this year, so thanks for all of that. The 6 weeks officially ends this week. So we'll be 2/3 of the way finished with the school year, 2/3 of the way finished. Hey, y'all just approved the 24 calendar, unbelievable. But this year's going super fast. Our attendance, we're in the 97s overall range, which is, it is what it is, I guess. We try to get them there, and that's still pretty solid. I don't know if we'll ever get back to pre-COVID attendance rates. I think that kind of ruined it, but we'll see. We continue with our AOK Club, lots of kids getting recognized for being kind to other Bulldogs. We talk about that every day, about being kind to other Bulldogs. Basketball season ended last Monday. Our 8th graders slugged it out with the West at the high school. I had a couple people tell me after the boys game, the 8A boys game, they were like, I think that might be the best junior high basketball game I've ever seen. There were some people that said that, and I was like, you could argue that. For sure. I do know there were some dudes on that court that if they continue to grow and get better, by the time those groups are together as like juniors, they're gonna be pretty salty. There's some guys, and the girls the same way. Track practice has started. I watched them all day long, 1st, 4th, 5th, 8th period today. They're out there getting after it already, and after school they stayed as well. Several things on here that happened at the Wiley High School Performing Arts Center. Our 6th graders attended the School of Rock, the musical. I don't know if any of you got to see it, but we took all of our 6th graders over. Our 8th graders, right before spring break, are going to go over to the Performing Arts Center to see A Midsummer Night's Dream. And then there's a big pre-UIL band festival that will take place on March the 7th. So 3 really big events happening in our Performing Arts Center. Our junior highs get to enjoy that as well, so we're very thankful for that. Also, right before spring break, we're going to have a little college day. All of our 8th graders will tour TSCC, and we started that last year, and it was a big hit, so we're glad to get to continue that. We continue to have school safety drills every month. Those are going really smoothly, and the staff and students do a great job with that. Cheer and bell tryouts are coming up pretty quickly. I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but I know those are coming up. We've been making announcements about it. Bulldog Bridge, we do that once a month on February the 24th. I think that's next Friday. All of our students will be having lessons on responsible decision making, which is probably something all of us could use. Hey, we continue to send postcards home. We call it the good stuff, and the teachers are filling those things out and sending them home. And nobody's sent me a picture of this yet, but I do envision these hanging on refrigerators all over the east side. The teachers write really awesome notes about kids and send it home to the parents, and been really proud of that we're doing. T-test evaluations continue. We're getting close to getting all those wrapped up. I had 2 pre-conferences today with teachers, and I'll formally evaluate them tomorrow. Hey, it's the best tool we've ever had as administrators to evaluate our teachers. It's become a lot more of teamwork. It's become a lot more coaching. It's become a lot more mentoring. And our teachers are getting better because of this T-test tool that we have. And the last thing, I know last month was School Board Appreciation Month. I didn't get to stand in front of you, so tonight that I'm here, I just want to say thanks for what you guys do. This is my 30th year to do this, 23 as a principal, but my 30th year overall. I did 9 years at Wiley, and we moved away for a decade, and now I've been back 11. Hey, all school board meetings don't look like this. I'll just say that. They don't. And so I appreciate you guys for what you do every month, and hey, for taking care of our kids, for letting us do that, for letting us take care of them, for providing the stuff we need. I just appreciate it. I appreciate when I see some of you guys. I used to see Mike all the time, but his kids, they grew up and moved away, and I see Andy almost every day, and I just appreciate you guys. I've known Stephen for a long, long time. Thank you for filling in when you were called upon. I appreciate it. But
He was desperate.
Well, whatever it was, we appreciate you. But all of you guys, just thank you for serving the district. You're very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Was there a junior high play as well? That was like.
Oh, yeah.
The West,
Okay,
the
so-
West, and we have one coming. Aladdin is coming. Again, I don't have the exact date, but it's coming. They did have one already.
Nothing against the high school, but.
Tilden was it.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I'm gonna ride this evening without my training wheels. You know, Miss Raymond, that's not here today, so I'm gonna do this solo, ride solo tonight, so little grace. All right, Wiley West Junior High, our total student count is 976. Overall attendance, 96.4, like Mr. Goodenough said, it's down a little bit. To let you know, Mr. Limfrance and I are working with our families to contact them and make sure that our students are following the compulsory attendance laws and giving them their hours they need if they need to get in on, some Tuesday school or Saturday school. So we're working on that. All right, character building. Our lead class has started the peer assistance with the 5th grade classes, functional academics, and a few 6th grade classes. Our lead students are amazing. Ms. Riston is amazing. They do all of our students, providing a lot of leadership opportunities for those kids. I think that really helps them in a lot of areas, especially, as a consideration into education as they work with students. So they do a great job.
So before you leave that, Stephen, this is the junior high version of PALS.
True.
And so, it's, those of you who know how Mr. Keenum, he's missing this, but, that's been, I think, a really positive situation. Y'all both doing that, yeah. It's, just like PALS, it's good for both the younger student and the older student. It's good for both of them, so.
All right, so STAR benchmarks coming up are at BAS. They're scheduled for the end of February and beginning of March. The TMSCA meet, we will be hosting the meet on March 4th. I know TMSCA just had a meet at Tarleton this past weekend. A lot of East and West students placed in the top 3, so we're really proud about that. West Junior High will be making a post about all of that tomorrow and recognizing all of those students. Spelling bee winner, Daniel Sanchez, will represent Wiley West Junior High at the Big Country Regional Spelling Bee this month, so that's exciting. Extracurricular, basketball girls and boys finished up against East, like Mr. Goodenough mentioned, so there was a lot of great competition. I agree with him. We've got a lot of great talent coming up as East and West get to really develop their skills with those 2 different teams, and I think as they come together at the high school level, they're going to be great. Swim, first meet is February 24th. Our swim teams, even at the high school level, have been doing really well, so we're excited about that. Spring tennis is starting up, track season, cheering bells. So we're getting out information to our community about tryouts. Everyone's favorite. Such a fun time. One act play, Mr. Riley, you mentioned Matilda. Kind of a shout out to Eastside. Mr. Goodenough always says best is the standard, and I agree. These kids were amazing. They were phenomenal. I hope you got the opportunity to see them. Our program there is just really building these kids up and helping them with their skills as they move into the high school level. So it was really good. Other activities. Recognized National School Counselors this week. Miss Vincent and Miss McMaster do a great job. We're also lucky to have our LSSP, Ms. Kirk. She works a lot with our students and helps them all tremendously. Appreciate them. Staff development coming up, February 17th, staff breakfast. We'll have our training, STAR prep, all those good things. We had our new student party recently, which was really great for our new kids to be able to meet all the other new students. Sometimes they don't always know who came before them. A lot of times they'll recognize some of the ones that came after them if they have classes together, but I think it's a great opportunity for them to come together and see who all is new and in the same boat with them so they can kind of share some similar experiences as they come into Wiley West Junior High. Fishing, I want to talk about our fishing team. Our Wiley West Junior High fishing team had 2 kids from the West place, which was really great. I know our high school team is doing well too, so we're excited about that. And we appreciate that we have the opportunity for some of our kids who maybe not be so much into the athletics department, but love to fish, so it's doing really well. All Region Band, our kids, multiple kids participated in the All Region Band. Mr. Brandon Garcia, they're doing a great job, and we want to say thank you to them. So, questions?
Good job, Amber.
Great job. Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Berry, before you start, you've got a guest here tonight, you might want to introduce.
He's snuck in. I mean, he's been here the whole time. This is Coach Brown. Coach Brown is a gift to Wiley High School, that he also is working on his master's degree and becoming a principal. And so I think he's just observing, getting some hours for his practice in the practicum stages. And Wiley High, I'm telling you, the halls of Wiley High School would not be the same without Coach Brown. He has a way to impact any type of student, calm any type of student, help, walk them through academics or just life. And so we are really grateful for him, and we'll try and keep him.
Yeah, they're not really excited about you moving up to being a principal because they want you doing what you're doing. But everybody talks about how great Coach Brown is, and you can see how he lights up a room when he smiles. So he does that.
His life is just as precious.
Oh,
they get up and they travel to games, to, gosh, where all have y'all been?
Stock shows.
Swimming, meet, stock shows, golf, football, basketball,
Yeah.
soccer.
They get home on a Friday night from a football game and get up and go to the swim meet the next morning, just to cheer on students and root students. So he really is. They say there's some that have the it factor, and he's one of them that I think does, to relate to kids. And I think Erica does too, even though she's not in the field. The kids love her just as much as they love him, so.
I hear great things about Mr. Brown. Yeah, so, from the student side, and the parents, we hear it as well, so great. So glad to have you.
Even from kids not in athletics, man, my daughter says the same thing. Thank you.
So he's learning the exciting stuff tonight. All right, so high school enrollment, we're at 1,460. Our seniors went up after Christmas, which is interesting. Normally, but we're excited. Hey, we need more seats at graduation. So we have a state swimmer. The swimming and dive team did awesome. This is the first year to have a dive team. And I asked Ms. Schlock, she's the one that kind of took on the divers, how'd you know they could dive? She said, I found the two smallest cheerleaders that could tumble, and I turned them into divers.
Now, tell them who Miss Schlock is, because they don't necessarily know that.
Ms. Schlock is one of our secretaries in the office, but she was a diver in high school and very passionate about it. And they did great. I went to the regional meet, and they knew what they were doing. There was no belly flops by the Wiley Divers.
But I understand she's taking some junior high kids and developing.
She is. She's very excited about it. And that's important to find, I know she loves working in the office with us, but to find something to plug into students, and that just brings an extra bit of joy. And then if you're competitive, it's even more fun. So she's awesome. But Coach Pacheco did a great job. We had so many swimmers at the regional meet. And then I was there on Friday. And I texted Mr. White, I said, we're in the finals in every single event. And we ended up getting one to state. Tessa earned third place in the 100-yard backstroke. So she'll be swimming this Friday in Austin, so we're excited about that. The cheerleaders cheered their way into finals, and they broke a school record. First time in school history to make the finals. And then they earned 13 out of 70 squads. That's also the most squads that ever have competed since we've been in the 5A division. And so that was really fun. Mr. Autry, did you go to that?
I did not. I didn't know dads were allowed.
Dads were there.
I'm going next year.
We had the cheer dad cheer, so.
Right.
That's a really cool event, because if you watch cheer on TV, cheer competitions, it's nothing like that. It's purely sideline cheer, old school cheerleading. It's really cool. And our routine was choreographed by one of our students, so that was awesome too.
Wow.
For them to get to celebrate her in that way. So Aiden, who y'all saw earlier, and Timothy Varghese qualified for the American Invitational Mathematics Exam. What that means is they get to take a really hard test. It is highly prestigious. It's a 3-hour test, top 5% nationally in math. Aiden and Timothy are two of roughly 3,000 students nationwide. But I also want to give a shout out to our teachers that they have had Ms. Sylvia Martinez in investigative math, They were lucky enough to move up whenever she moved to the high school, so they've had her since, 7th grade. And they're on the investigative math team. Her and Miss Patterson coach that team now. And so there's lots of bragging rights in our math, on our math teams. State debates, I think Mr. Holland is here somewhere, but Brendan Hurt and Joshua Corrigan competed at the UIL Congressional Tournament, and Brendan got 10th. I texted him, I said, debate for dummies, what's the difference in that tournament and this tournament?
The difference between it is, I told her, I said, it's probably just easier if I explain it myself. The difference is Congress, they compete in a room of 20 to, could be up to 30 students, and they go up and give 3-minute speeches over different pieces of legislation. The students write the legislation, they submit the legislation, they bring it up in chamber, they follow rules and order, and they follow all the legislative order. And then the CX debate, they're given a topic at the beginning of the school year. This year, they're doing NATO policy, so they come up with a policy underneath each one, and they go and they take it, and they present the plan, and there's a negative team that's always trying to go against the plan. So it's a team debate. There's only 4 people in the room, so that's the main difference between the two.
So Brendan Hurt earned 10th at congressional debate and in the state, and then Brendan and Alondra Correa will go to state CX debate here in the near future. So we're excited about that. Academic UIL, we hosted the Valentine Classic this past weekend. Our kids continue in all divisions from Lit Crit to social studies to spelling to math, computer science, continue to place high and earn medals. District UILs on March 24th and 25th. Earlier this year, y'all approved a gymnastics team, and so our gymnastics team has done really well. Club. Sorry. Club. They competed against 5 of the 6 schools that are in our district, and they placed 3rd. Members of the team, they placed in every individual and all-around. Chloe McGarry became the first Wiley athlete to win the all-around with a score of 36.3. That's awesome. Region Solo and Ensemble has been going, and band students in concert band, and they received 1 superior ratings. Bells went to competition recently, and in all their routines, they also received a 1. They also received Best in Class Team, Best in Class Officer line, and received the Academic Championship Award. I have heard they're learning a new kick routine, which I can't wait for their showcase in the spring, so that will be exciting to watch. Tomorrow is Cookie Day. Cookie Day is something, if you haven't heard about it, started last year. It is a cross-curricular project between culinary arts and our functional academics kids. And so our culinary arts kids, they sold over 2,000 cookies. They do 1 cookie day a month. And so they bake. They help our functional academics kiddos bake in the kitchen as well. And then there's some entrepreneurial skills where they go class to class and they sell the cookies. And they pretty much sell them as fast as they can get them out of the oven. So that's tomorrow, but also tomorrow is Carnation Delivery Day. Back when the Purple Dogs started, we started Carnation Day on Valentine's Day, and so there will be cookies and carnations tomorrow all over Wiley High School. School of Rock was awesome. Here's what I think is cool, because I went to Rose's one of the nights that Matilda was there, and I saw some Abilene ISD junior high kids and happened to know their parents, and they were coming over to watch Matilda. And then whenever I went to see School of Rock, I saw some other Abilene ISD kids, and then one night I saw Maddie Lowry, well, not Lowry now, but Jones, right? Maddie Jones, Miss Jones, and she was taking a group of kids to go and watch Abilene High's play. And so I think that's really cool how all of these theater kiddos support each other in that. But School of Rock was awesome. They're now working on one-act play. They jumped right in the next day to start preparing for one-act play. District is on March 3rd, but they'll have a home performance in the PAC on March 9th. We are about to start selecting courses for next year, and so there's a list of courses that, where we're making changes, that I wanted to note some really fun, exciting ones. Upper level Spanish classes are going to start being offered at the honors and the advanced placement level, so that gives those kids a chance to earn, the 5 extra points for honors and 10 extra points for AP. Those teachers wanted to be able to teach those at a higher level and a higher rigor when they enter into those courses. Just to note, it's required that all kids take Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, have 2 years of a foreign language. And so those upper levels will be 3 and 4. Health science students can join the Hendrick Healthcare Academy through a Cisco College partnership. This is a really cool opportunity for our kids. The program allows student access to different career fields within the healthcare industry, as well as dual credit hours towards earning their LVN. So we already have the CNA program, and so they're already having to take, for example, anatomy and physiology and medical terminology for our CNA program. Well, Cisco wants to come in and provide that at the dual credit level, so that's getting them hours towards their LVN. Along with the other perks, the Hendrick side of that is they're gonna pay for the dual credit, so it's at no cost to the students that join this program. The pathway falls in line with our CNA program that we already offer. So that's really exciting. And then there's some other guarantees as they continue on through the program. Students in the education program will continue the program with a capstone class called Practicum in Education. We already have some of our instructional practices kiddos going over to other campuses and acting nearly as an aid to the teacher, but not just doing honeydews, you know, making copies, but actually helping and engaging with the students. And so that will just be an added year of that. And these are just a few of the exciting additions. Unified Bulldogs, Mrs. Baker's done a great job getting Unified Athletics off and running. They practice every Wednesday, and we're hoping to schedule a performance for them on an upcoming date. We're thinking like a PIPS ball handling performance for them, and so we'll let you know whenever they feel ready for that. Last time I was here, we had just kicked off, and I thought we should report a sock challenge to have students bring socks, and we said we wanted 500 new pairs of socks in 5 days, and I would provide a coffee bar, not coffee, yikes, hot chocolate bar for all of the students. Well, in 5 days, they brought 1,264 pairs of brand new socks. So for the next 3 days, I'll also let us sleep on how to provide hot chocolate for 1,500 students. It was 90 gallons of hot chocolate, but we did it. And it was a lot of fun. All the socks were donated to Love and Care Ministries. I thought I'd have to divide them up, and they said we want them all. So that was really fun for our students and awesome. Last thing, sorry, I'm taking over a lot of time. District soccer is going right now. Both teams, I believe, are 2-2, boys and girls. Boys basketball is real hairy right now. We'll find out tomorrow where we stand in boys basketball. Playoff running, powerlifting, we're hosting a meet on February 18th. Track and field is going, district is on April 12th. Golf district is on March 27th. Tennis district is on March 28th. Baseball, the district kickoff is real funky this year. Because they play 3-game series, they'll kick off district in the Abilene tournament. And so that's not this weekend, but next weekend, in order to get all their games in. And so district, on March 9th. Softball, well, the tournament is before that. Softball district kickoff is March 18th. They still just do 2 games. And we also have cheer tryouts and bells tryouts, and one at Clay is coming up soon. I think that's it.
And if anybody didn't know, you can get your Glenn Miller tickets.
Your Glenn Miller tickets, February 21st.
That's next week from tomorrow. It is at the PAC. And Angie, how many tickets are left?
About 500. We've still got 530.
Keep selling.
Keep selling Glenn Miller.
We bought tickets, so we're coming.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just tell me. Yep.
All right. March school meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Each year, we try to avoid spring break by moving the board meeting up a week. So we would ask that we would have that board meeting on March 6th. That will be posted, so we'll get that out there. Each year, we are required to have a safe and drug-free school compliance report, and we are to give the number, rate, and type of incident on each campus. And so you have 2 different types of offenses that we have listed: possessed, sold, used, or was under the influence of marijuana or other controlled substance. We had 2 incidents at the high school and 0 at the junior high. That again was last year. And then The same for alcohol. We had 0 at the high school and 5 at the junior high. And those are recorded by the principals as such. So that's always, we feel good about that. Those are major, and the principals are not going to miss reporting those. So those are really good numbers, and I think a lot of enforcement goes into making sure that number stays low.
We will go into executive session.
Executive session. Thank you all for coming.